Hey friends, welcome to another YouTube video in which we're gonna together analyze all the valuable information you need to have in order to kick off with startup funding and close your first funding round. So following the previous video, we already touched base and we spoke about how you can actually build a business and get it to a stage that it's ready to be funded. If you haven't watched this video yet, then I suggest that you look at the description below and click on this video before watching the rest of this video. In this video, what I want to describe is exactly that. It's how you process after that, how you get your initial funding, how you get your investors to buy into your product. Let's speak about some stats and why I think funding is so important and why I'm making this video. So you have actually had success with your business, which is great. You have actually nailed it and you have found your first customers. And as I said before, make sure that you fund yourself once you have some traction. I'm not saying to have enormous traction, but I say that you have at least to find the proven way and the proven needs that you need to scale. That will just change the way you'll be funded. But now let's get back to that. Like, the thing is that 40% of startups fail to scale because of lack of funding. So they know how to get the job done. They know they have a right target audience. They know that they know how to sell the product. But the problem is that they don't have the money to support it, to push it forward. So for example, they cannot do sales hires, or they cannot do marketing hires, or their product is not good enough and doesn't actually translate to the value that the customer wants. All those things can be actually fixed with funding. But don't think that getting funding is easy. 30% of startups who try to be funded actually fail. So make sure you're well prepared and you have watched this video until the end in order for you to be funded. Before I continue this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm pushing content that is useful for founders, sales, and marketing people. So make sure you're subscribed if you're one of those people. But let's continue to the rest of the video. To begin with, I always like to start with some rookie level things. And that's because many people are watching those videos to first get a first attach and the first understanding of funding. And moving towards the end of the video, we will go into more expertise and depth challenges. Now, the thing is that why do you need external funding? So the reasons why someone would get funded is something that I break down into 3 different categories. Now, what are those categories? So the first category is that you actually want to get expertise and you need to get knowledge in your company. So for example, you're a founder who is really good at tech and you're a really good tech startup founder, or you're really good at marketing, but you lack the other element. So as a founder, in order for you to just not have to give out equity to someone else to come on board, what you do instead is that you give equity to a VC and you get that money and you buy someone who is really senior and can actually help you build that out. So the first thing that actually funding helps enormously is to get expertise in your startup. The second one is that it can actually accelerate some things that you already know. So for example, you have a really good success in your marketing team and you know that your marketing team can ramp up, but in order for it to ramp up, you would need revenue. And at this point, your sales cycle might be too long, or your company might require even more accelerated growth. Well, in those terms, it's great to have funding because that actually ensures that you would be able to hire people at scale. Make sure that when you hire someone, you actually first hire for their manager and then for the employees. Unless you have solid expertise on the particular things that are needed for you to scale the team, I'd suggest that you first hire the person who knows how to scale it and next hire the person who will implement it. And number 3 is to fix your product development. So I've seen in many cases that either in B2C or B2B, many people have done mistakes in the early stage of their product. So either they had, let's say, really bad operations when it comes to B2C into shipping their product, and building their product, or in B2B they build out a product that's not sustainable, that's not scalable, that the coding is not the right coding if we speak for a software. And as a result, what usually happens is that those changes are left there, and companies actually scale and try to scale, but their product won't scale at the same time. So if you want to scale your product, you need to make sure that it's built for scale. So one of my best advices is that you actually take the time and put effort on scaling the product by getting the people who can actually map out all the wrongdoings and fix something and make something that is actually scalable. Before you start to find your first VCs and trying to approach your first investors, what you need to understand, and this is the rookie part of the video that I'm trying to highlight, is that you need to understand all the different stages of funding. So to begin with, what I want to do is that I want us to go in depth, analyze, and together understand what are those different stages. And what I will do to give also value to people who are experts is that I have done research on what is the average required amount for people to get into that funding level, and what is that actual amount that most of the times people require to get into that funding level. So let's continue with the rounds. So the first and initial round that someone should be on is that pre-seed round. Now, what is a pre-seed round? Pre-seed round is a round when you don't have a product, when you're starting off, when you're trying to develop your product. And this round is exceptionally essential for a business. You don't have a product, you want to prove yourself, but you don't have anybody believing in you because you don't have actually shown any product market fit. If you're actually someone who is well known in the industry and is well known by VCs, I can guarantee that you can directly go and try to do a seed round rather than a pre-seed. But the pre-seed round is a round that actually requires up to 500K. It's between family and friends, and it's when someone has not the ability to just directly go into a seed round. I'm not saying that it's either or, and don't get me wrong on this. What I'm saying is that usually if you have the leadership skills, the product, everything else, you will directly go to the seed rounds rather than trying to do a pre-seed round for you to build a product. But in regards of that, pre-seed rounds are mainly for you to build out the product, build out the systems and the softwares maybe that you're gonna sell. Now, what's next is the seed round. So the seed round actually accumulates for around 2 million, and usually this is the amount that people request in those rounds. Now, the thing with those rounds is that is a round where your product is ready or half ready and has some MVP mode, and then what you want to do is that you actually want to take this to the next level. You want to bring the growth, so you have a product, you maybe have also a few clients, and what you want to do is to scale. Well, my advice is that you always start from a seed round. It means that you have taken the effort and validated everything else before, and that you actually go to investors with a really good and quality product. The reason is that if you don't do that, most investors will actually require huge equity for them to take the risk on you. So instead of doing that, just go with a solved solution to them, with a solution that proves, with a product that proves that you know how to do things. And if you do that, I can guarantee that people will be more and more excited about investing in your product. Then we go to the Series A round. So these Series A rounds are usually the most important rounds. They show that your product has a really good growth rate and that you can actually go and request a larger amount for it to scale. So it's the point where you have already established that you have a product market fit, you have already a really niche market, you know that your business is scalable and that your business model is scalable. So all you need to do is hire the talent that will lead to the next step, which will scale your company. So in order to scale your company, usually most businesses and most startups require around $15 million. This is a baseline that they require. Usually it's between $15 and $25 million. And it's essential that you actually go in and take that amount in order for you to scale. I think that if you need to put an investor at any stage in your company, this is the right time to do it. So before the Series A, it's basically that you have a business and you can actually go bootstrapped. But for you, in order to scale this and become this multi-million or billion-dollar company, you actually need to do that and accelerate this fast, catch up from competition, make sure that people who will copy you, because that will happen once you have some clients, people will start trying to copy you. So businesses that are at 10 million, 15 million, 20 million ARR and want to go to like the multi-million dollar business, well, this is the right moment to do it. Go and get a Series A. I guarantee you cannot do this alone. You need someone to help you in achieving that. And there is no single business from anyone that I know that has actually scaled to that without a Series A. Amazon, Apple, HubSpot, Salesforce, all of them at some point got investors. And the reason is that if you don't get the investors, competition will catch up and you won't be able to accelerate the growth of your company efficiently, and you'll be left with that small market share that you'll have. And then it's Series B, Series C. So we're talking about large amounts of investments, and that's something that is actually helping companies before their IPOs. In my mind, it's something that is essential, but that differently changes the way you as a founder will function. So you won't be no longer at this stage, and you have to think of it as at this stage you give up equity. So at Series B or C, you don't have any more equity to give out. But you want this company to grow even more, you want this company to scale. And I mean, if you've gone to that level, I can guarantee that you wouldn't need to be watching this video. But the point is that you want to grow to the next level, is that you actually go and require around $100 to $150 million. And this is actually a classic scenario where founders are trying to just scale their company even more and establish new businesses. So you get that money to acquire other businesses, to enhance your product, to hire even more talent, but make sure that when you get there, that you actually want this and you want to move away from managing your company yourself, taking the decision yourself, because at this point and stage, I can guarantee that if you do another round, it will definitely not be your product anymore. So now, saying that, getting the capital is one challenge, but the bigger challenge is that you need to actually do something with that money. I see many founders out there in getting an investment of $1 million, $2 million and having no plan of how they want to build out their teams. You as a founder and role is not to just be the salesperson or be the marketing person. You as a founder need to have the plan and the leadership to bring everybody on board so they build out what you have in mind. So make sure that before you get into any funding, you have a plan and a really specific plan. Outline this plan to the investors and you will get much better equity. The thing is that which I don't understand is that many investors invest in things without seeing a thorough plan, which I do not understand. But the thing is that you as a founder, for you to have security, for you to help actually people and have an impact, in order for you to achieve that, you definitely need to have a plan ahead. The second thing is that you need to hire the right talent to implement your plan. So the thing with that is that most founders think that they get money and then they're gonna figure out what is the right talent. Well, that's not the way it should be done. What you need to have established is the team structure, is how you wanna build this out. And not only about team members, which every founder out there does. Instead, find out what departments you will need, how these departments will collaborate together, and how those would create an environment of scale. So the last thing I want to mention is that you would need to be able to keep track of your team and have actually the knowledge of how to do it. So everything that comes up with project management and all those things are things that you should be knowing before you actually get funded. Now, in the next video, what I'm going to analyze is actually the 7 different ways that businesses can be funded. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're still here, it means that you most probably liked it, so subscribe and hit that like button and the notifications button to receive more content from me. Thanks again a lot. Keep daydreaming. Bye.